Hey everyone, and welcome to the Bricks, Bucks, and Bytes podcast, your weekly dive into funding, market, and investor news in architecture, engineering, construction, and supply chain. Before we get started though, if you're a startup founder or operator responsible for innovation in your company, or you want a deeper, more insightful look into technology in AEC, you won't want to miss our newsletter. From deep dives into particular technologies such as AI, robotics, design, software, and so on. Hot takes from investors betting big in AEC technology and advice on building tech companies, including the stories and takeaways of the most successful AEC technology founders. Head over to www.bricks-bytes.com and sign up today to get this exclusive material straight to your inbox. And now for the episode. Okay, good evening, guys.
Good evening. Yo.
Martin, I was wondering if you managed to take the makeup off of your face that you had on Tuesday.
Yes, I lost it in the swimming pool last night.
Oh, wow. Okay, most people would say I went to shower afterwards, but that also works, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, this.
I did have a little dip in the shower before, I have to say. But
sweet. So, what was the occasion for wearing makeup?
We had well, Martin was actually going on a date.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
So a fine lady who requested that he wears makeup, and so he obliged.
Aha.
For the record,
I do remember that he married. Yeah.
Just kidding. We had QB, Alex from QB came over to London for a day of recording the super series that we're doing with them. And on Monday, is it, Martin? You will be heading over to Belarus.
That's right.
We've been doing some deep dive documentary style video with them, and we will be mixing it up. We will be focusing on a lot more visual content with Martin getting a tour of the factory over there, looking at the kit of parts that they put together.
Nice.
And so on and so forth. So it will be like, you know how we called this one Super Series? We'll be called the next one Super Duper Series.
That is the Hyper series. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So more engaging, more relatable. For example, for like not.
This does hurt me a little bit, but I get what you're saying. Yes.
What hurts you?
Hey Patrick, next one we do with you guys, we'll have to use some screenshots of your guys' portfolio gains as they increase. It's a visual element.
That's a good question. Are they increasing?
They are. I'm certainly enjoying it right now. But I'm not doing it without Rita, the traveling pot flower that you're always having in your super series.
Well, I saw your comment. I didn't make a comment on LinkedIn about that, but there is a flower in the photo, which you must have missed, apparently.
Aha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you also sent me this photo from your shooting on Tuesday, which is not live yet. I didn't see Rita there.
Yes, well, we can assure you that Rita made it.
Rita made it. Okay.
But
maybe Rita makes it to Belarus too.
I doubt she'll go through the border.
So, I guess, Martin, good luck with your trip.
Thank you. I'll message you guys.
And by the way, next week we will not be doing an episode, but that's not because Martin, we foresee that Martin will get trapped in Belarus.
You just can't make it by yourself.
We don't expect you back.
Okay.
Okay, so to the point, Martin managed to, he took a leaf out of Patric's book with listening to what he has been teaching us about capital efficiency, and he removed his makeup by going for a swim rather than the shower.
Well,
so you're teaching as well, Patric.
Now it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, what are we talking today? We have, should I start?
You already did.
Please do. I think people are desperately hoping that we stop
for substance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So turns out that Augmenta, I guess that's how we pronounce it, a Toronto, Canada-based provider of a design platform for the built environment, raised 10 million in seed funding. And to my understanding, Augmenta is a design platform, which right now can automate or is trying to automate the electrical designs. They're also going into architectural and structural in the future. And led by CEO Francesco Iorio, Augmenta provides AI software for the AEC industry that automates the sustainable design of buildings to deliver efficiencies and cost savings at scales. Well, I don't know about the efficiencies and cost savings, but the idea of automating the designs sounds to a designer like good music.
So, guys, MEPS, so mechanical, electrical, plumbing. The S stands for structural in this context. I typically only see the acronym MEP.
Yeah,
so
that's
S.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Look, I mean, for us, I want to throw some context in here, and then you guys are practitioners. I'm not, and I know you have very strong opinions about what design should be and what engineering should be and what tools should do for it. So I'm trying to segue us into that. So Augmenta, I think one of the most interesting aspects of the company is who's leading it. And so you mentioned Francesco. Francesco was if I remember correctly, actually the head of the generative design team at Autodesk before there were, many VC-backed companies for gen design for AEC software. So Francesco lived that, breathed that, built a team at Autodesk to do that. And I think Augmenta sort of is his life's work in a way. He started the company for maybe 5 years ago. I don't want to say something wrong, but either 4 or 5 years ago, after all the learnings and experiences that he had made, among others, at Autodesk. And so I think of it as Francesco's life's work. Francesco, I think that's correct to say. At least that's how I perceive it. And that's something awesome, right? Because that is oftentimes a founder that will run through brick walls, that will run through adversity, of which this type of model will have a lot, right? I mean, we're seeing it with other design softwares, current, but also in the past. It's not easy to come to the minimum feature set that you need to have for customers to find the value. It takes time to build that, right? And you need a founder that really makes this their life's work in order to build all of that. And then this is a space where it's not floor plan generation. I just want to contextualize that for you all, okay? So it's not like, hey, we've ingested 10,000 floor plans and now we are the best floor plan generator out there. This is one of the most difficult things to automate about building design. Augmenta started with electrical design. That's more than wiring, actually. All of a sudden it has a 3D context, not just a 2D context. It's very, very difficult, right? So you guys deal with this. I mean, what came to your mind when you saw the news?
Yeah, so I'm just going through the website. A fully automated building design platform in the cloud built from the ground up generative AI. Around generative AI, it creates highly cost, labor, time, and energy efficient designs that are fully code compliant, error-free, and constructible. That is like a very, very strong word, because one thing is to design a concept of something, which has thousands of mistakes, 10,000 of issues, and probably hundreds of hours of engineering hours to detail. But if someone is claiming that this is fully constructible, that is a big claim. So I'm actually curious if this is true, and if yes, then we are onto something here.
Hey listeners, I want to take a quick break to remind you about the Bricks and Bytes newsletter. If you're interested in learning about the technology shaping the future of construction, you won't want to miss the valuable insights we share each week. To get this exclusive content delivered straight to your inbox, head over to www.bricks-bytes.com and sign up today. Link is in the show notes. Back to the show.
Hey, explain to the uninitiated, why did you catch on to that term so strongly? What is it that constructible means to you in this context?
Because like buildings have so much complexity. Just obviously that's just CGI on the website, right? But if you can imagine several stories of structure, then there's a cladding, there is the weathering details, there is thermal bridging. There's so many things that can go wrong. So to generate detailed design, which is fully constructible, it costs a lot of engineering and architectural hours to deliver. So usually when I come across design software or the design that I use in my little practice, there is nothing that can get you from the concept to the fully compliant or constructible stage. Yeah. So in the UK, there is the REBA stages from 0 to 6, and 0, 1 are concepts, and then 5, 6 are very detailed and heavy design that it needs a lot of collaboration and coordination. So that's why if someone says it's
Also-
constructible, then that means something.
Plus, it relies on other people as well, because assuming that the electrical design is constructible, maybe that's not exactly what this says, but in order for something to be constructible, the architectural information also needs to be correct. The structural information also needs to be correct. So whilst you might have electrical design that is constructible, if the others don't work, then it's not going to be constructible. So the claim of building fully constructible buildings in hours, I think, is pretty strong.
Yeah, well, especially then, sorry, Patrick, especially when they have right now electrical released only, plumbing, mechanical, structural coming soon. Well, I agree with you that saying that it's fully constructible, blah blah. It can sound like a smoke and mirrors actually, but I would hope that they just not throw in these words in the air. Yeah, it just means something.
Maybe it's meant as an ambition too. I do find it here, this part of the website that you're showing, right? So electrical, hey, this is highlighted, and then they mention that the other 3 are coming soon. So maybe I'm reading it a little bit more as the ambition for the company to become a software that people use in order to create fully constructible stuff. I remember actually, I don't remember the time or the episode, but I remember the quote, Owen, very vividly. You made this quote where you said, "Hey, I'm an architect, and here are the designs for manufacturing, but they are not fit to do manufacturing." I'm butchering your quote, but do you remember that?
Here are your fabrication drawings, which are not for fabrication.
Exactly. There's a little caveat saying not suitable for manufacture.
Yes, I think Owen coined this phrase when speaking to me.
I remember exactly, right? And so, is that the same thing you're referring to, Martin, or is that something different?
Yes, pretty much yes. Yeah, but just back to your point, like you said, so this is the thing that I can never understand in startups. You don't show something on your website that you can do, and this is your ambition to do it. That's not what construction. That's not what construction wants. Okay, we just in construction there is a need for real solutions. Exactly, which it's not that there's ambition to achieve something and we're putting something else on the webs. We have ambition to achieve something, but we are actually not there yet. Yeah, that's what we hear you.
I hear you, but let me take the defendant's side here. I'm okay. There's nothing to defend here, but let me take the other side of the argument. I mean, you guys know how much I love outcomes and to shape a business around the outcomes in our sector. So it might sound a little bit odd coming from me, but I think, we also like the word nuance here on BB. And I do think there's nuance here. So this is a space where the minimum feature set, that's a term we use internally, is very high. What does that mean? Until you can generate the desired value or outcome to your customer, user, stakeholder, peer, whatever, the amount of features that you need to build to generate that is very high, right? So if you have someone that is using Revit and you want to offer a Revit alternative, you can't do it with a small subset of their features. That's one of the things that makes Revit as an authoring tool so valuable, is that I can actually do a lot of things in a sort of generic way. It's not perfect for a lot of the specialized tasks of it, but a lot of it is multi-purpose, just very well built, and that's a high feature set. Microsoft Excel and spreadsheets. actually are a very low fidelity example of the same thing. So now if I want to offer a substitute to that, I need to reach whatever is the minimum feature set. And I think that's difficult in building 3D authoring tools. And what Augmenta is doing, it's not a 3D authoring tool, but it has in the end, it gets ingested into a 3D authoring tool more than once because I need to proceed, which is another comment I have later down the line. But that means you have a very high minimum feature set. And so to your comment then, Martin, what that means is that in a model like this, where to help someone achieve an outcome, the minimum feature set is very high. I probably can't show you on my website on day one, hey, this is what you're getting today, because it's not relevant at that point. I need to build this and this and this and this. And then when I'm there, which needs time, then I can tell you what I'm doing, and I can basically get rid of my first website and replace it with a second one. I think that's something to consider about high minimum feature sets.
You speaking with great compassion of venture capitalists supporting startup and
they seek right compassion.
Yeah. So what we hear from innovation managers in the largest general contractors on this planet, actually, is that they are very tired of startups.
Good point here.
Startups pitching them that they can deliver.
It actually goes against them as well.
Yeah, exactly. It goes against them, fully goes against them, because it's basically being dishonest. Yeah,
it's noisy, you know.
Back to this. I don't know if this is dishonest or not. I'm not saying that Augmenta is dishonest anyway. Yes, but what I'm saying is that this means a lot. That is absolutely.
It has a meaning.
Yeah, it has a meaning.
Yeah, I think on the flip side, I would also add that the area is great because you have to sell a bit of a vision to the people you're trying to sell to. If you're just very, very 100% accurate and honest, then you're probably not going to make too many sales. Or you're not going to excite people, your investors, the people that are raising money, the people that want to come and work for you, people that may give you dollars to use your service. So there is an element of I don't know.
A great example here.
How much you think these guys are selling the vision, and then they are trying to figure out how to put things together? No, they are not selling a vision. They are.
Wait, do you think they actually live up to that claim here? We're designing cities that work for everyone.
I mean, it's just
this is like $1 billion. How I don't know what the revenues are. But
it's one of the largest consultancies on this planet, right? But you can't go to a serious project with selling a vision and then failing to deliver it. That's not how this industry works.
But they do. Okay, hold on. Time out, guys. Time out. Yeah. Okay. So I can't believe, first of all, that I'm here the defender of storytelling, because I think I have the opposite reputation, perhaps. But what I will say is, come on, man. Neither are they designing cities, because there are not many cities to be designed, nor do these cities work for everyone. I mean, to me, marketing 100%. Is fair game when it's clearly contextualized at marketing, right? So that's why you don't get sued for TV ads in most of the countries, right? Because the context of marketing is clear.
Yeah. Well, always. I think you got
the words. It says may or might or maybe. May reduce your gray hairs. Oh yeah, I'll buy it. Hey, you know talking of one of the best ads ever. I know we're going completely off piece now. Maybe you can relate, Patrick, because it was a German brand called Alpecin, and they produced this shampoo, caffeine in it.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yep, that's supposed to make your hair grow back.
Yeah, but they never actually claim that. Like it's such clever advertising. Like. Because it's caffeine and it's like the way they add it's absolutely brilliant marketing.
Where are they now?
I think they're doing very, very well.
Yeah.
A couple $100 billion revenue, maybe. I don't know. We'd have to check.
Exactly. I could do a quick Google search. 300.
That one has been around for a long time. You're right.
Dr. Wolf, 400 million euros roughly, according to the first Google result. I will say.
How do you know that they don't provide the outcome that they promise?
Aha. Watch there. And how do you know?
Well, luckily, I'm not quite at that stage of life yet. So maybe in about 20 years, when we redo this episode, I will update you guys. But anyway, sorry.
Okay, but let's maybe focus a little bit about the space. So Augmenta, fully detailed, coordinated, sustainable designs. And so how does this space look like in terms of Augmenta's competition? Are they the only one who are trying to get to the outcome of this? So fully compliant, fully error-free and constructible drawings, designs, or like what's the space like, Patric?
Perhaps we could for the purposes of this episode and the next minutes of discussion, let's simplify it. And let's say there's two parts to this space. There's more, but let's simplify. And one part is the automation of MEP/S. And then there is more modern authoring tools that allow a better experience to the human, not automated user to design MEPS, perhaps more collaboratively, etc., that embeds AI. So, and I think these two are fair to mention here. For the first part, they are not that many, because that is a very difficult proposition to actually say, hey, I'm going to automate that. I mentioned earlier, like the floor plan generation and automation as a counterexample to that. So in that space, we have seen over the years many, let's say, peers that would attack the generation of floor plans. Actually, before Gen AI was a thing, that there were companies that had research from university and PhD studies that they applied even as early as 2018 and 19, as I can remember. And so in the floor plan generation space that happened in MEP, that is a substantially more difficult proposition, right? And that's one of the reasons why Augmenta maybe has, I'm right now going through my mind, maybe 3 or 4 peers in the left part of this space that I just mentioned, the automation. Now, once you include more modern authoring tools that could, either are already or that could later include automation of certain parts of that MEP design workflow, then the space becomes a little bit bigger, and these authoring tools might be another handful. So overall, you might be looking at, a dozen or so funded companies that try to tackle this super hard problem.
So you're saying that there's 2 spaces. One is the automated kind of building design platform, like here, and the other side is authoring tools like Snapshot, AutoCAD, etc., Arcode perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, mostly on modern stacks. It's going to be hard to embed AI into an old legacy stack type solution that is an authoring tool, but the modern ones, yeah.
Okay, so the question is, like, which one? Because if what I just repeated is correct, then that would mean, like, which side is going to succeed? Is automated building designs platform or authoring tools? I think they both have at that point still the same customer, which is a designer. Who is the designer? But perhaps in the future, where this thing is, the design thing space is going, is more B2C, where the engineer or architect or some other quote unquote professional would be just signing off certain things rather than designing it with the hand and the mouse.
The master builder.
So I don't know the answer. I just want to make sure that there's that everybody listening understands, that we understand the nuance. So when you say designer, that's actually a very loaded term in the context of MEP design as it goes through the specification process. So from whatever the earliest design stage of the MEP all the way through the constructible part that you mentioned, a designer can be someone in an AE firm. It can be someone in the general contractor firm that actually reviews, adapts, adjusts, amplifies, enriches. And it can even be someone on the electrical distributor or manufacturing side that is also having to do that. So designer is a loaded term here, and different people will use different software. I mean, look, there are even legacy softwares that are tailored completely to the design of electrical wiring. ETAP, a Schneider Electric company that Schneider Electric bought substantial revenue, substantial customer base. I don't know if their tech stack would allow to really adopt AI and let's say automation in this. I have no insight into that. I'm just saying there are these softwares out there that even address the, contractors or that address the manufacturers. And so oftentimes when we speak in this, the reason why I'm calling that out, oftentimes when we speak about this in this context, we think, okay, it's an engineer at an AE firm or another consultancy, whatever. Well, there are different types of users here. So when you ask me that question, or is it authoring tool or is it an MEP solution? Maybe the answer is very specific to who is the designer in what kind of stage.
Yeah, this is it not like a wrong way of thinking about it? Just because we used to having this like weird process that someone is doing the concept design, someone else is picking it up, someone else is picking it up later in the construction, and there's few different needs, touch points of different designers trying to build this thing, right? Why don't we just get something done properly and correctly from the concept to fully constructible drawings?
So what's the answer?
What's the answer? Fully automated building design platforms are the answer, I think, that can get it done from scratch till the end. And that would change these processes that we currently are so used to, that, okay, this is the tender, this is the initial information, pre-planning information, this is planning information, this is pre-tender, this is post-tender, this is whatever, and finally for construction drawings, which cannot be used.
Yeah, but even the construction drawings you can't build from, so another issue we have it amongst the industry. And
so I think it's a better place for Francesco to actually answer this on behalf of Augmenta. So I'm not gonna ask him, okay? But the problem with most Gen AI today, in the sense of achieving a 100% outcome, is that it's a statistical model, a vectorial model that in the end is producing the next most likely something, object, character, word, or whatever.
Yeah.
That means, Martin, in the world that you believe in, a fully automated MEP from beginning to end that nobody has to touch, you are believing, as long as it's a vector-based, statistical distribution type-based gen automation, that the first generation is the correct one and that it does not require further manipulation. Come on, man. That world doesn't exist. There will be 10,000 iterations of this.
Plus, I would also like to throw something else into the mix. Typically at concept stage, you don't know. Maybe you have an idea.
Right now, you don't know. This is not correct, but right now it is like that. Yeah.
You might not know like what manufacturers of equipment, for example, they're going to use within a design, and typically you require their specialist input. And obviously, the people that are manufacturing this equipment are all competing against one another. So, if you're providing fully automated designs that just work from day one, then you're not considering the full spectrum necessarily of all of the products that are available on the market, as well as their interest, because they're all competing to try and get into the designer's plan book to make sure that their product is specified so they hit their sales targets and whatnot. So I don't think that place exists where you can have like a fully automated design from day one, because it's just not how the industry works.
But we just had
I'm not sure it's desired either. I mean, Martin, why do you desire it?
So we just had Mike Powers 2 days ago, and he said there's like 4 or 5 manufacturers of this cooling equipment that's all in this whole planet. Again, that is available, and is why can all of those be have some APIs in the software, and you basically are picking and choosing in the design software different variations from different manufacturers, right? Like if you think about this, in this, for example, in structural design, where I have experience, you have typical sections, like for example, UC, universal column 203, whatever that is. That means these are typical sections that every single manufacturer in this country of steel sections agreed through like some British standard code that this is the typical sections and this is what we're going to use. Yeah. So that it's much easier for the designer to choose the right section which has particular properties.
But you have to remember that MAP specifically is much more technologically advanced than
Correct.
structural.
That's why you should connect these manufacturers and their API to the design software, so it's fully updated, and you can design it rather than make an initial design which is already on the moment that it's released, it's incorrect. Really.
But bro, that exists. It's called Revit libraries, for example. I mean, these kinds of propositions exist since Revit exists. There are
Why doesn't it work then?
Okay, that's a different question, right? I want to take you on a lateral journey, okay? Because I provoked you a little bit, Martin, when I said, hey, the world that you're believing in when you believe in a vectorial system. And again, I'm not saying Augmenta is using this kind of system because I don't know.
Yeah, we did.
It's only up to Francesco to explain how the technology works. So my comment is not about Augmenta. My comment is, if you're using a vectorial Gen AI, you will always get only a approximated statistical result of the next iteration of whatever context of your model you are deciding to regenerate. And if that's what you're doing, I said, hey, Martin, then you are believing that basically the first iteration is going to work. I'm not provoking here, I'm dumbing it down, but that is a problem, okay? Yeah. Let me take you on a metaphor, real anecdote. So I recently had more time to play around with Suno, S-U-N-O. In my opinion, Suno, my very private opinion, I'm not invested in anything, this is the greatest piece of Gen AI out there. And why so Suno is generating songs. That's what they do. And so why that is so great is because it is extremely specific. It allows you to control it with prompts and a few other modes of input to generate a result that very, very accurately will fit your taste within a few generations. Never the first one, right? Mm-hmm. You'll have to go through maybe 5 or 10 generations, and then it has hit it. It's still not going to be perfect, right? So you're going to think, hey, maybe the chorus should be at the top of the song again, or half of it. Maybe I want another round of choruses. Maybe I want a second verse. Maybe here, instead of this instrument, I want to replace another instrument. So again, I have to prompt it. I'll have to adjust it. It will regenerate, but it is going to be very close, and it allows me to do those things in a relatively controlled way. But you know what, Martin? Mm-hmm. I'm a prosumer at best, if not a consumer. You know what a profession? Yeah, right.
You're supporting my thesis. I'll explain in a second.
Okay, tell me in a minute if I'm still doing that, right? So, but now if I'm a professional songwriter, is Suno really going to help me much? To a degree, right? So I imagine that a professional songwriter or a jingle writer, someone that does themes, etc., is going to use something like Suno to generate sections, segments, to generate inspirations, whatever, but they are never going to be satisfied with the final result. You cannot convince me of it.
It's
impossible.
Yeah.
It's impossible to convince me of that. A professional will not use this the way I do to generate a full result. What is the implication of that? That song that Suno generated, as in my opinion, the single greatest Gen AI tool out there today, is going to go where? In another authoring tool. That's what's going to happen, right?
Until?
Yeah, tell me.
Until there is a software with just B2C job. Because you are a consumer, and 10 years ago, to generate a song, you would have to be a songwriter, musician.
Song is quick, like
10 years ago,
a B2C product, no?
Wait a second. Now you are someone who doesn't know much about music, I assume, in terms of creating.
Absolutely correct.
So you are a consumer, like not technically inclined, whatever, consumer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. 10 years ago, to write this song or to get to the outcome like you have, it would be impossible for you.
I would have to hire someone.
Yeah. Exactly. So now you probably are enjoying this music, I assume. So you are 95% perfect. You generate 95% perfect outcome. Yeah. So if you now employ with your 95% perfect outcome, you employ a professional music guy or girl, they can tweak this 5% for you instead of doing.
In what tool, Martin? In what tool?
I don't know. I'm just
an authoring tool. That's the point, bro. An authoring tool.
Maybe,
because the
maybe.
Okay, you need a different. No, hold on. You need a different type of Gen AI model. Sorry, model is the incorrect term. You need a different approach than a vectorial statistical approach.
Mhm.
And I don't know what that is because I'm a VC. I'm observing. I'm discovering as we go. I'm not here to predict, and I'm also not here to build it. Let's be clear. That's why I have the benefit of just observing and saying I don't know. But I do know because I do observe that the vectorial/statistical system is never going to give us that final result if I'm a professional. And so any kind of MEP, again, not saying that's what Augmenta is, that's for Francesco to share, etc. And I don't know the answer. It's not about Augmenta. But any kind of building generation platform that will use a vectorial statistical system will never be at the first iteration where it needs to be.
Oh,
Then
never.
you need to load it in an authoring tool.
Yeah.
Then that's the implication here.
Yes.
Who owns the workflow? Is it the authoring tool or the building automation platform?
Yeah. The authoring tool would be my guess.
Who owns the workflow, the authoring tool? Yeah. But it basically collapses the cost of doing things to very, very little, which
No doubt.
I'm super happy about.
No doubt.
I
Sumo is
completely
so
agree.
awesome. If we can repeat that in building design, it's going to be such a huge leap. But it's not necessarily my taste. Sorry, over to you, Martin.
I completely agree with you with this vector stuff that you mentioned, as I'm not fully aware like how this whole thing works, but just looking at the from 10,000 feet to get to fully constructible plans, you need to get it right. Yes. And that's impossible to get it done by, I guess, at this point. That's why we'll need someone who will look into it and make sure that it is fully constructible. Yeah. So it would be great to actually ask the founders, like, what does it
Would
mean?
be Augmenta.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they have that technical approach.
Yeah. Well, so how are they thinking about it? Yeah. So I'm with you on the fact that using these vectors and there's only next iteration, or there's like thousands of these iterations, they are not going to become fully compliant because there is a need for a human touch. Yeah. And
now let me blow your brain further. So what the Jedis of vectorial Gen AI, people who raised a lot of money for it, and then they need to defend the approach because the world around them is developing fast, and then it's hard to pivot your technological approach, and then you need to defend it. What these Jedis will then tell me is, yeah, but Patrick, I just have an approach to make the context window more and more specific so that when the user then wants to change a certain aspect of what was generated, they don't even need an authoring tool anymore. I will just make sure that they can author the next generation such a small increment that it becomes perfect. You know why that is bullshit, in my opinion, if someone says that? Because at that point, at that specific tiny level detail, it is going to be more efficient to make that one edit in an authoring tool.
Yes, unless the fully automated building design platforms, I'm just reading it as it's so complicated, they will have an opportunity to tweak things rather than well, so maybe we are talking about different things, because I wouldn't imagine.
We're talking about the exact same.
Now
you are talking about the second segment that I was highlighting, the authoring tool embedding the AI.
Okay. So I agree, completely agree, because you can't. There's no chance that you will get 100% outcome straight away. I'm sure you can get 95, whatever the number you can imagine.
Maybe at some point, yeah.
Yeah, maybe at some point, and that's good enough. But obviously, get to 100%. But it's still, we're talking about collapse of the fees, 95%.
Brilliant.
That's what it's all about.
But who will capture the value? That's what I'm as an investor concerned about.
Well, I think that who will capture the value from software point of view, sell point of view, or I think it depends on the markets, and it will come down to supply and demand in the end of the day, because if more people use technology, the prices will be collapsing. First movers will have the greatest advantage, and they'll be making tons of money because they will be charging the old fees using the new technology, and the margin will be brilliant. More and more people are using it, the margins will be
here's
collapsing.
another metaphor. we're right now logged in here to the studio. And sorry, Owen, I know you have to run in a minute.
Yeah.
So I'll make this quick. So we're logged in here using Riverside. Cool podcast software. There are others out there, gets the job done for us. At some point, Riverside realized, hey, professionals are downloading the tracks and load them into the favorite authoring software. So what did Riverside do? Very obviously, I mean, it didn't need a lot of understanding. They implemented the ability to edit the tracks, mostly for prosumers, because the super high-end studio type people will still want to load it into their authoring tool. That's the point, guys.
Yes.
That's exactly the point.
Very good. Yeah, I agree. Okay, that was fun.
To be continued. Hi.
You should invite Francesco. He's very impressive.
Yeah, we would love to. I think that what's obvious to me is that you cannot avoid, and we do try, not purposely, but we don't push it that way. You cannot avoid the conversation on AI at the moment. It's everywhere.
Yeah, I know. I will tell you, I do think AI is transforming a lot of the build world and what we're doing. From an investment perspective, I prefer to invest in data infrastructure, authoring tools, and systems of record, because my thesis is that for most of the workflows, they will capture the value by embedding the AI eventually, because ultimately, all of the data, all of the remanipulation of that data happens in those three types of systems.
Very good. And it's very difficult to spot, I guess, AI solution, which one will be the winner, because it's insane.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's
right. But less so in Augmenta space, because then it's such a difficult problem to solve.
Okay. Can we play the Patric soundtrack that he generated in Suno in this episode?
Sorry, I can't do that yet because this is not discussed before. So it's not like Martin now set me up for something. Martin does not know this. So guys, actually, Shup and I are going to have a new podcast.
Oh my goodness.
Generated the soundtrack for that. That's what.
Oh, fine. Go. Okay. Can you show us?
No, I can't do it yet. Okay. It's still to be revealed.
What's the name?
The Art of War.
Oh. Very timely.
Yeah, but it is okay. So this is actually not that war that you think. And the Sanskrit / Hindi speakers might have a very strong resonance and connection to the earth. So we're going to reveal later what it is, but I think it is going to be a super high quality product.
Very nice.
Well, hey, Martin, enjoy your trip to Belarus. Next.
Okay. You're cutting me short. Okay.
Yeah, I need to shoot, guys. So.
Okay.
Cheers.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
See you soon.